Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Weird timbre and cancer aside, let's wrap this week up, right? So, Fridays, I always like to check out brand new music on Fridays, and I figure let's check out some more black metal. That's what this week's been about, right? Even the special selection has somehow also skewed black metal. Let's just wrap it up. Let's bring it full circle. We're checking out ORANSSI PAZUZU. Their new track, they just released a bit ago, May 24th, so I'm like a month out, whatever. It's been on my I want to check out for a while list, but June ended up being quite packed. So let's dive into this. The song is called Muuntautuja. Muuntautuja. I don't know how that's supposed to flow naturally. It's a lot of harsh syllables back to back, but I don't know. Let's dive into it, see what's going on. It kind of has a hip hop idea, right? I mean, the drums are not super hip hop, but the ornamental stuff, that that bass hit is definitely kind of. Yeah, Spotify doesn't have genre, which I think is weird. I think Apple Music had genre when I had that. Very layered, intricately produced, lots of cool sounds. This chittering sound going on with the vocals, that's a nice touch. It's very intricate. There's so many layers going on at once. And they keep adding more. We have this vibrating at the bottom. Drums are getting louder and fuller. Where are we going with this? Oh, really fun drums. We got the modem going off over here. Yeah, it's like drowning in digital tones. Exactly 30 seconds left. We come back to like this trip hop beat. There's that vibrating sound. You can hear it very clearly now. And cut out. Well, I didn't mean. I didn't mean it literally. I figured it was just going to stop playing and we are going to have a natural decay of whatever sounds were left over, you know? Like that was what I was getting at based off the time. We only had like 5 seconds left. I was like, this is the final repetition. That's what I wanted to point towards. And we are going to have like boom, boom, boom. And you have this natural fade out just off of whatever sounds are playing to naturally come to a close. But nope, they just like cut all the sounds. There's no reverb. There's no decay. There's no natural fade of any of those sounds. I called that more accurately than I thought I wanted to. Oh man. All right. All right. I don't know how to begin speaking about this. I really don't. I mean, first of all, was I wrong in expecting black metal? For some reason, I thought ORANSSI PAZUZU, when we've checked it out in the past, was like avant-garde black metal. This right here, sure, is experimental metal. I'll definitely give them that, but it kind of feels closer to new metal than black. It's a lot less extreme than I was expecting. And not to mention that the metal portion takes up so little of the song, with the rest being electronic post-metal. Can we say that? Right? It's obviously not post-metal in timbre, but I think if we transitioned a lot of these digital sounds to guitars, it would very clearly fall under the post-metal umbrella. So that's what I mean when I say like electronic post-metal. And it's because of like all these caveats. It's this, but it's also kind of that. And it's this, but it's kind of also that. Makes it really difficult to talk about because in a sense, I don't know what this is. I don't know what they're, well, I know what they're attempting to do. They're attempting to smash a bunch of stuff together, and I think they do a pretty good job of that. Let's start there. Yeah, that sounds like a good place to start. I don't think so, but it's the best starting point I have. At the beginning, we come out with this really traditional, I think it's trip hop, but I also hear it in just general hip hop, is that really low bass. Boom, 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 boom. It's the kind of stuff you would hear on, well, at least around my area. You would hear that on speaker systems in cars so loud that it rattles the license plates and stuff. And so I kind of envision that. Like when I hear it in here, it's so loud that I can hear metal against metal vibrations with it because I'm so used to hearing that sub bass tone with that sound. It's like a daily sound for me. It's so ingrained in my brain. Um, for years too. It's not even just like a recent thing. I've heard that those sub bass tones in cars for decades, going back to high school, man. So like it's kind of weird for me to hear that without the metal on metal vibration. But it's such a core thing that I associate with hip hop, whether that's accurate or not. Maybe it's just my bias due to the limited number of hip hop that I've listened to over the years. I do associate it with that genre though. And we do get a very cool drum pattern in here. I do think it veers a bit more towards rock. There is a heavier emphasis on the bass kick and the snare than I would expect for a hi-hat. It's a bit more dexterous and bombastic than I expect for hip-hop. I think I said hi-hat last time, but I meant hip-hop. But it does kind of have the element where it's a bit more muted and designed to be rhythmically interesting to set up a groove as its primary component. There is a little bit more to it that says, hey, look at me. There's actually some flashy stuff going on over here. I could hold the party down if I needed to, but I'm also playing support primarily for everyone else. And so it kind of sits between the realms of rock and hip hop for me. And then from there, it's just it's a battle royale. We have ideas popping in on the left, ideas popping in on the right, below, above, bouncing all around, little ideas flickering over here, then not coming back. Just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of electronic ideas. Some of them carry melodic concepts to them. Not all of them, but some of them do. It helps drive the song forward in a sense. They're all looped, though. There is nothing linear here. But there are plenty that are completely textural, designed to bring this specific sound into focus for you to hear it, and that's about it. That vibrating pattern that comes up from a low quiet sound to a higher one, changing its resonance as well as its volume. Stuff like that is pure texture. It adds to the atmosphere. It makes it feel just a little off kilter. The world itself is shaking. These are given just as much prominence as the more melodic ideas that have shifting pitch to them, where the pitch moves forward in an idea. Then there's also ornamental things that pop in once, maybe twice, and then you never hear from them again. But there is no removal of layers. They just continue to get stacked on top of each other, seemingly endlessly. The intensity continues to rise in what once felt like a very intentional placement, a staging of all of these sounds within the sound sphere, in a very precise production to ensure that every sound has room and can be expertly placed where it doesn't interfere with any other sound. Eventually, we run out of holes to socket these instruments into, so we just start overlapping them. It quickly becomes a wall of sound. You can focus in on things if you'd like, but it's really difficult to take anything in singularly. It's a lot easier to just sit back and accept the wall of sonic oppression put in front of you. At its peak, we ditch some of it for electric guitars, heavier drumming. This section is kind of short, but it takes the intensity we were at and continues to rise with it, moving with more antagonistic tones. This, to me, despite being metal, doesn't feel black metal either. In fact, as I mentioned, it's kind of nu metal-y. Again, a hyper fixation on texture, more so than riffage or tone or even atmosphere, which is what I attribute most to black metal. Its primary question is no different than the rest of the instrumentation we heard in the first section. What can this instrument bring to the feeling of the section we're in? Not so much of how can this push us forward or how can this make us feel, but what texture is it? How can it change the way that the song physically feels, not emotionally feels, if that makes sense. We build this up quite a bit. And when it also seems to be at its peak, a little bit mixed with some electronic sounds, we cut out everything entirely. Return back to just that bass tone and the drums. And that wraps our song up. We had a couple of layers there, but really the song's over here. This outro is just to act as juxtaposition to the rising energy that we've been experiencing for 3-ish minutes here. What does it mean? I don't know that I can answer this. I know I feel tense listening to it. There's parts of it that feel groovy. I want to move my body to the song, but it doesn't feel like I should. The intensity, the anxiety that gets built up over the A section is just compounded once you bring in the distorted guitars and the heavier drumming. It takes what I thought was already a peak and finds a way to build from there. When we reach the second peak, where I really don't think the song can get any worse, it doesn't. We return back down to a base. The water has boiled over. Someone has turned the oven off, the stove off. There we go, and has moved the pot to another burner. The danger is gone. But why? Is that supposed to be the journey the song takes me on? I don't know. I'm curious what their intentions were with this song, and particularly why they chose to combine the sounds that they did. I know that's kind of a strange question for ORANSSI, since they're just that experimental metal group, and they just sort of combine whatever sounds they want to, but I would like to know what made them choose these electronic sounds in particular. What about them drew them to the sounds? Because there is an eeriness to the track. I don't know that it comes across harmonically, though. I don't know where it comes from. But it's a song that feels antagonistic in many variables. Multiple aspects of the track almost feel like it doesn't want to be seen, and the fact that I'm looking at it is making the whole situation worse. Up until something gives. I don't know what that is that gives, but that anxiety, that tension dissipates. Not over time, instantaneously. Something happens. As I mentioned, the water boils over and the situation is quickly rectified from there. It could be a bursting of anxiety, a balloon that is so full it just pops and you're left with nothing, back to square one. I don't know particularly what they're doing here, but I do know how I felt listening to this track. I know where it took me. I will always appreciate subjective interpretation, opinions of what kind of journeys people went on with art. I think that they're quite as valid as authorial intent, but it never quite removes my need, or want, I suppose, to know the authorial intent. Sometimes I'm satisfied with my own interpretation, but it's sort of a rarity. And it's impossible with this case. I'm so perplexed by this that I want to understand it better, and honestly, what better way than to go to the source? I'm going to check out some lyrics for this. I doubt they're going to shed any light. And then we will wrap this one up. And where the music doesn't really feel black metal, the lyrics absolutely do. I suppose this is one of those cases where you can, pull the boy out the country, but you can't pull the country out the boy. Yeah, that's this right here. We may have been able to shift the music to something else, but the lyricist, yeah, his mind's still in a singular place. The opening has a series of expansion on an idea. It says, "I remember you. I remember your face. I remember the blackened fingernails. Light scrolling along the hallway on the dirty floor. A transformation. You are the mist that cannot be seen. The body does not live. You live." This is repeated several times over, and turning it into something of a mantra where everything else is quite linear, musically even, but lyrically, yes, this is a straightforward poem with no return to ideas, except this. The body does not live. you live. I think that's a really interesting perspective to put on it, where the body is simply a cage for what is experienced. It is the soul, the inner self, the consciousness that lives. The body is just the means for the consciousness to do that. How that ties into anything else, though, I don't know. But it finishes with an interesting roller coaster, a rising up of positivity, and then absolutely crushing finale. It says, I will lift you up to the cloud from which there is no return, where the storm tears for the dances of molecules. And then I will drown you in darkness to the pressure of the stars. A rattling skull opens up to nothing. What? um, yeah, I don't know how to take this all. It fluctuates so wildly. The beginning makes me feel of somebody who is captured. It says, I remember your face. I remember the blackened fingernails. I remember the way that the light rolled along the dirty floor in the hallway. You are the mist that cannot be seen. It feels like a captive describing the situation they're in and their captor. And then this little bit of positivity. Maybe it's not positivity. I initially read, I will lift you up to the cloud as a way to lift someone up, to make their situation better. But it might actually be that they're just going to send them so high. Because it does say, I'll lift you up to the cloud from which there is no return. And then I will drown you in the darkness to the pressure of the stars. I will push you even higher. I think this is what I missed last time. I will push you past the clouds, past the atmosphere, into space, the pressure of the blackness, drowning in darkness. This isn't just about... See, when I read Drown You in Darkness, I was expecting an emotional darkness, sorrow. But it's not that. It's the pressure of space, the vacuum itself. Maybe this is a song about being captive to somebody in whatever way, maybe not necessarily physically restrained, but socially, emotionally, mentally, and wanting to hurt this other person so bad that the only proper response to what they did to you is for their body to be destroyed in the vacuum of space. Let me know your interpretation of these lyrics. Because I don't know how to tie all this back to the mantra, the body does not live, you live. Those are my thoughts. ORANSSI PAZUZU's Muuntautuja. Put your thoughts, opinions, and perspectives in the comment section. Your interpretation of the song, musically or lyrically, or just any general thoughts you have. Above the comment section in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree, which takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We're going to check out a full album. Sunday, we have the live stream at 11 a.m. EST, 3 p.m. UTC. And then Monday, we're back with next week's theme, which I believe is a mid-year wrap-up. It's your favorite song so far of 2024. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.